You're at the surface and your buddy pops up and then moves their mask to their forehead. Do you move in to start rescuing them or chalk it up as cool and normal? Depending on who you train with, that's either a rescue signal or just another Tuesday. I'm Don, and my goal here is to help you walk through this topic and get some perspectives on both sides of this interesting but tried and true tradition of using this one simple sign to indicate if you're panicked or not. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the mask on forehead equals panic idea became popular and when it absolutely does not apply. Let's dive on in. I know when I first got my open water certificate, I wasn't fully aware of this concept. I often put my mask on my forehead because it felt natural and right. As a skier also, this is where I put my goggles on top of my helmet, so it makes some sense. However, it was only due time until a more experienced diver did a good old slam dunk on me to put me in my place for my misdoings. At first, when I heard that divers should not put their mask on their forehead, I was taken aback. It sounded ridiculous, but over time, I began to understand more. While this video's goal is to not tell you what you should do, I do want you to understand this topic of debate well. So whether you're looking to prevent an experienced diver doing a slam dunk on you or having your own counter, you'll be well informed. Let's start with a look at early scuba instruction, where it was built around simple rules that could be taught and remembered quickly. A mask on the forehead or missing on the surface of the water could indicate a diver in distress. This was due to an early observation that panicked divers sometimes lost or displaced their masks during stressful moments to their foreheads while on the surface. A mask landing on the forehead became a memorable image that instructors could point to during their trainings. Memorable usually beats accuracy when time is short and in a real rescue situation. That visual cue spread because it was easy to explain with limited time and mixed experience levels of students. The mindset favored false positives over missed emergencies, which made one cue heuristic attractive. Over years though, the nuance faded and a context-dependent observation hardened into a rule of thumb. The rule traveled between agencies, instructors, and buddies until it felt like common sense in the scuba diving world. It became a social norm. If we divers all just made a habit of avoiding placing the mask on our foreheads, then we will leave the mask on the head to indicate something must be wrong. In practice, however, the behavior never had just one cause, and that is where the trouble began. As training standards matured, the safety community shifted toward deeper pattern recognition. Reading breathing, buoyancy, moving quality, and awareness together produces fewer false alarms than chasing a single gesture. That shift does not attack the old rules so much as to refine it. It says the image is memorable, but the meaning depends on context. And don't get me wrong, I still heard from many experienced divers that when they have seen a diver in full panic on the water surface, usually their mask has been missing or placed on the forehead. Also, Divers Alert Network, or DAN, adds a practical surface safety note that is usually often left out of the casual conversations. At the surface, in chop, or around ladders and traffic, a mask on the forehead is easier to lose and can be misread as a need for help. DAN's general advice emphasizes keeping your mask on your face and your regulator in until you are stable on the boat. If you remove the mask, pulling it around your neck is more secure than parking it loose on the top. Those points live alongside the reality we see on almost every dive day. But another note here is because I often use a long hose setup where my octo is around my neck, I generally turn my mask backwards if I ever have to take it off. But in general, I do try to keep it on for as long as reasonably possible. Also, calm divers often push the mask up briefly to talk, defog, or to take pressure off the bridge of their nose. Both statements can be true at once. That is the heart of this discussion. The origin of the rule came from real observations of distress and real attempts to teach safety fast. The oversimplification came later as the cue was repeated without a wider picture. Our goal today is not to pick a side for you, but to give you the tools to read the situation well. Understanding why the heuristic exists helps you decide how much weight to give it now. It also helps you speak the same language of your buddies who are taught from older framing. But on the flip side, let's understand why many divers, especially ones new to diving, haven't been properly advised or instilled in the ways of where to place their mask when it's not to be on their face. It might sound a bit obvious, but comfort is the most common reason a mask ends up on the forehead after a dive. The skirt presses on the bridge of the nose, the strap digs a little, or a tiny leak has been annoying. Parking the mask for a short moment relieves that pressure and lets the skin breathe. Fog and visibility management are right behind comfort too. Masks fog from temperature changes, especially on the surface, exertion, humidity, and sometimes a long surface interval swim. Divers push the mask up to rinse or wipe inside while they wait. It feels extremely counterintuitive to spin the mask around or put it on the neck for a brief moment. Communication also drives the behavior on busy surface scenes. It simply is easier to speak clearly and be heard when your mouth and expressions are unobstructed. While one may argue left and right that the mask can stay on your face with some practice and focus, it's entirely possible to either park it behind your head or on your neck to keep it secure after you dive on the surface. In practice, there are moments, especially for those with less pragmatism, that the behavior may slip and divers may give into comfort. And of course, in all these cases, it's most easy to just push a mask up a little bit to the forehead than anything else. Convenience remains undefeated, especially for newer divers like I once was, and you may be too, who may not yet have subscribed to not moving the mask to the forbidden zone, or think it's a bunch of malarkey. Either way, it's not like the scuba police are going to fine people who are wearing their masks on their forehead. So that's where we stand. Our little symbol to indicate real panic divers may not always be foolproof. And by the way, if you're enjoying this video, now is a great time to like and subscribe and help this video grow more popular. I definitely truly appreciate it. I post weekly content to help divers grow their skills, build confidence, and explore the ocean with curiosity and care. And by the way, if you're looking to be up to date with the latest and greatest of the scuba diving industry, I have a free monthly newsletter that you can subscribe to in the description below. So the question you might be asking now, what are better indicators for panic at the surface? The fastest indicator is breathing, because stress shows up in a cadence and sound first. Listen for rapid, loud, and shallow inhalations with the mouth open and clear visible signs of chest rising and falling rapidly. And as mentioned earlier, of course, a completely missing mask or a mask on the forehead could be a relative data point as well. Also, a apparent disorganized look about the diver may be a clear sign. Looking at the eyes of the diver directly can also indicate stress levels. That look like a deer getting caught in the front of a car's headlamp, where the eyes just go wide, the pupils dilate big, and the diver potentially freezes or is moving around frantically. Further, the diver will likely be doing grabbing or clawing motions that are causing rapid movements and potentially causing imbalance for the diver. In addition, they may have forgotten to gas their BCD, causing them to struggle at the surface more than they should be to stay afloat. I also want to mention that if you're on a dive with someone, even before reaching the surface, you might observe certain telltale signs of stress, leading to panic before you reach the surface. A good one to watch for is bubble volume and rhythm change in a way that does not match the work the diver is doing. Constant large breaths with plumes of bubbles indicate rapid breathing. Buoyancy control is the next big tell when distress builds. A diver who was in neutral trim starts bobbing vertically or seesawing without stabilizing. Movement quality breaks down as stress rises. Situational awareness collapses when panic takes hold. The diver stops making eye contact, misses a simple okay, or fixates on one annoyance to the exclusion of the entire scene. Occasionally, a diver tries to remove a regulator because it feels wrong, and the real issue is actually the breathing pattern. However, a single odd movement is not panic and should not be treated as such. But a stack of high energy cues almost certainly is and deserves your attention. One important thing, especially for more experienced divers who have strong situational awareness, is that panic is often not an instant response, but is the result of the feeling of helplessness and is the body's last-ditch effort to survive. The lizard brain takes over and just demands that the body try to do whatever it takes to survive. This is panic. So if you start seeing the signs, one thing goes wrong and a little bit of stress occurs and it continues. A quick response, providing aid, and looking into the eyes of the distressed diver may be enough to help them prevent getting panic and help keep them calm. Sometimes all it takes is a little bit of comfort and a little bit of help. Consider what calm looks like for contrast, because that is what you should protect. Deliberate movements, even cadence, prompt hand signal returns, and small precise adjustments mark a controlled diver. The presence or absence of a mask on the forehead does not change those fundamentals. While not all divers will be fully equipped with the confidence or capability to handle a near or fully panicked diver, all of us can try to take an effort into helping prevent that panic by ensuring we aren't always just focused on ourselves, our buddy, or even the animals we want to take pictures of, but taking a moment to be situationally aware of other divers in our dive team to provide that helping hand or comfort before things get out of hand. Once panic takes hold of a diver, they generally will not behave reasonably or as you might expect a sane person to behave. For those interested in learning more on how to handle a diver once they're panicked, I highly recommend a rescue diver course, which will arm you well to handle these situations with live scenarios, examples, and practice. Otherwise, for most divers, it's always in our best interest to ensure we are attentive to others' needs and there to help steer others away from potential panic. But of course, if a diver is out of air and in panic and needs it, it's best to donate as fast as you can and keep them out of your space. Try to lock eyes with them until the panic subdues and reasoning slowly returns. But with all that said, we understand a little bit more on why panic is such a big deal, how to try and prevent it, and ways to watch for it under and above water. While I can't quite say a mask placed on the forehead is not a sign of stress or panic, because it certainly can be, there is often more to it than that. The mask on the forehead is not a tried and true symbol, but rather a token of information to put in your back pocket. The eyes, breathing, and behavior will tell you a lot more from there. Treat it as a clue, not a verdict, but it is information, and when trying to assess for distress with our scan of a diver. So whether you'll be one of those divers now looking to slam dunk on other divers to stop them wearing the mask on the forehead, or we'll just all let it go and focus on other forms of stronger cues, that's left in the cards. As for me, because I do try to set an example, I do now understand these norms of scuba diving culture, I do in fact try my best to avoid placing my mask on my forehead. But I won't be one of those divers looking to slam dunk on any other divers, trust me. Nor do I encourage it. Old rules stick because they once solved a real problem, and a mask on the forehead is one of those. Dan's surface caution exists for a reason, and so does the everyday reality that calm divers park their masks. You have the origins, you have the context, and the goal to build your situational awareness. So decide for yourself whether the heuristic is past its prime or still useful in your toolbox. Use it if it helps. Retire it if it doesn't. And if you enjoyed this video, you'd love to enjoy learning some emergency drills next, such as air share. And I have other similar videos to this one where I try to debate common scuba culture discussion, where I try to bring my own viewpoint and look into the great debates of scuba diving discussions and contention points, and check those out here. The more you know, the more you'll love and protect the ocean. Until next time.